This is the Third Coin Podcast, insight into the past, present, and future of blockchain, crypto, NFTs, and Web3 technology. This program is hosted by Grant Cermak, Dan Mueller, and myself, Louis May. You might say this is a series of discussions, interviews, questions, answers, opinions, and maybe some conversation about what is the third coin. Hey, welcome back, everyone. I'm Louis May here with Grant Cermak, and this is a new recording of the Third Coin Podcast. It's been a hot minute since we've been on, so we're excited to kind of talk about all of the things that have changed in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. And there has been some changes, hasn't there, Grant?
Oh yeah, things have been happening. Life doesn't stop just because we got busy with things. Louis is busy running his business stuff. I'm busy doing things. Yeah, so everybody gets busy, but the world of crypto never stops, never sleeps. And now we have a new situation at hand. So it's very timely for us to jump in and have a discussion about what's happening in the world of crypto.
Yeah. And so before we get into the specifics of that, does a lot of this or some of this or parts of this have anything to do with what's going on in Ukraine and what's affecting all of the other global markets and economies?
Not particularly, not at least what's foremost in my mind. As someone who actively participates in the Terra ecosystem and we've been developing there, this seems to be unrelated to any sort of instabilities that have occurred within the world.
Okay, because that instability is definitely present and visible in the cryptocurrency world in general as well. Wouldn't you agree?
I mean, crypto tends to track asset stuff. So when assets go down, stock markets, whatever, it oftentimes we see that crypto sort of follows along. So there have been thoughts that crypto and Bitcoin in particular would be a hedge against inflation or a safe place. And it's never played out that way. Every time we see broad-based stock market declines, it seems like Bitcoin follows suit. So it seems like the people that invest in the stock market also invest in crypto. And when people retreat because they say it's too hot or there's a bubble or whatever, and they're trying to get back to stable, then they retreat from crypto.
So it's fair to almost say that while it isn't just another asset, it is acting like just another asset.
It seems to track that way. That's my understanding of it, and that's the way I've seen it played out. So I generally have seen it that way.
Yeah, it keeps all the talking heads keep saying it's all different, but then in the end, who knows? So
you see a lot of correlation. If you put a lot of assets next to each other, they all move in the same direction, almost in tandem. It feels surreal and eerie because it's almost like things aren't trading on fundamentals and they're trading on something else.
Well, I mean, the truth of the matter is the stock market is either fully manipulated by big money, or it also is subject to the emotional trading tendencies of the human mind.
Well, when you see broad-based correlation amongst all assets, like everything goes down and all of the charts track almost the same, I can't believe that every single company is on the same path and every asset is on the same path. So sometimes they don't all track together. The thing that's foremost on my mind as far as Terra goes is just in what's happening, right? So we are seeing a situation unfold, which is very unanticipated by many, but others who've said, oh, I saw this coming a mile away, right? And,
okay, so let's get directly into that because that's a specific thing. Terra has done some completely unforeseen things. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about that.
So the detail around completely unforeseen, like I would say there are people who predicted things, who anticipated things. And so, it all depends on who you talk to. But
I mean, I was thinking about that video I sent you, Grant, and it's like, does this guy actually have all the research that leads to this, or is he just really confident in the way he feels? Because then I watched that video again and I'm looking at it going, wait a second, this is just like all the other Instagram people or whatever influencers
who come at us with an idea that they portray with the utmost confidence and in their own ideas that it comes through as fact. They describe all this stuff as fact, you know?
Yeah, I don't know that I have any particular history with this individual. So he's somebody that's new to me, you know, he relatively introduced me to him, but, you know, Bennett seems like he's got some background and has a valid opinion. So I think I would love to sort of spend some more time digging through what they've said in the past. They seem to have a similar show to us. So really, it's an interesting perspective and to hear what they have to say. And they were definitely looking at things from a particularly different light. So yeah, what's going on in Terra is Terra has a stable coin, which I think we talked about in a previous episode. It's got this thing called UST. So it's a stable coin that's intended to track the price of the US dollar. So what they want is this UST token is supposed to always be priced at $1. And recently, UST lost its peg. And that means that it stopped trading exactly at $1 and it started trading below $1. Now, what's supposed to happen in that sort of a situation is people would see that as an opportunity and they'd say, wow, you know, it's below price. I want to rush in, buy it because it's going to go back to $1 and it's an easy way for me to pick up some cash. But that's not what happened. The price of UST went down and down and down and down and down, and it really eroded from its peg. So it dropped down to, I don't know, something like 60 cents, which is huge because the stable coin is supposed to be stable. It's supposed to be a place that you retreat to when there's market volatility and whatever. And so the whole point of Terra was to have this stable coin infrastructure. So UST is what they call an algorithmic stable coin, which means that there are supposed to be algorithms and things that are working in the background that keep it at its peg. And that didn't work at all. Like the algorithm completely failed. And it went into something called a death spiral, or at least it's been in a death spiral for a while. So what happened is there's a relationship between UST and Luna. And this Luna token, what's supposed to happen is there's supposed to be a minting of Luna, and then Luna is supposed to change in price, and that's supposed to allow UST to sort of return to its peg. And what's happened is Luna has gone from trading at something like $80 to trading at 87 cents. It's like it just went straight down to almost zero.
Okay, so let's talk about the actual numbers here just to give some context. So as of 5:10, which was Tuesday at around noon, Terra was still trading at in the 90 cents, but it had already begun its decline off of that $1 mark, which started, it seems like around sometime Monday morning. Had a huge dip on last night, all the way down to 70 cents. And it has seen all the way down to 30 cents at a couple of valleys, big valleys, and is now currently trading at 68 cents a coin. And then Luna looks like it's following roughly the same. No, Luna started taking a dive back on the 4th and 5th, where it was $86, 85. And then it started a daily decline of, you know, roughly $5 to $10 a coin, and then really took a dive when this all happened with UST.
Well, that's because Luna just started printing. I mean, essentially how the algorithm is supposed to work is there's this relationship between UST and Luna, and it's supposed to correlate and it's supposed to correct itself, and it didn't really do that. So it's, you know, probably outside the scope of us to get into too much detail about how this algorithm works, but suffice it to say, it didn't work, and a lot of people are in a pretty bad situation now. So it's a really tough situation when a top 10 chain like this, you know, Luna and Terra were really kind of the darlings of the space for quite some time. You know, for over the last year, it's been a lot of energy has been poured into the DeFi world of Terra, building lending and borrowing protocols, and a lot of other complex financial protocols.
Multiple organizations with their funds tied into these projects, right?
Yeah, and it was a huge thing for Terra Labs, you know, and for the founder Do Kwon. And so kind of as this has been playing out, there was a foundation and they bought Bitcoin to sort of help stabilize this. And there was a very sophisticated and coordinated attack that seems to have occurred to force UST to lose its peg. There's crazy shorting that's been happening. I mean, major amounts of money have been moved around to perpetuate this situation and to force a run on the bank, essentially, is kind of what's going on here. And all this loss of confidence, when it expounds and when it exponentiates, this is what you get. Sort of a coin that was here, just absolutely down to zero. And that has left a lot of people, with bad emotional state and like have lost their entire life savings. They've lost their entire bag. It's a pretty tough situation. It's not
good for those people, but I mean, once again, in markets, for other people to win, there's always these people that are losing everything as well. It seems to be what goes on in financial markets, right?
Well, there's always two sides of a trade for sure. Yep. Anywhere where someone's lost a lot of money, somebody else made a lot of money. So yes.
So a couple of questions come out of your statements here. Would you say that this Terra, this UST and this Luna relationship that was obviously created on purpose, was this one of the first trial runs of that type of relationship between a stable coin and a minted cryptocurrency to work together to create this kind of this financial cryptocurrency ecosystem?
It's not the first time that algorithmic stable coins have existed. This idea does exist. Some people are dead set against these. They say that this generally cannot work and that it's hard to get it right. And so the fact that it's so hard to get it right, it's better to do a backed stable coin, which is how things like Tether is supposed to function. So if you look at Tether, they're supposed to hold $1 for every crypto USDT that exists. That's dubious whether that's actually the case. Some people are fairly skeptical that that's the case. New York, I think, audited them and were not generally satisfied, but I think they kind of stopped investigating. I don't know that that's really been brought to full resolution. There have been other coins, right? So Stably on Chia, which is another stable coin, a USD tracking stable coin on Chia called USDS. That is supposedly an audited coin where every dollar that gets deposited into Stably then results in the minting of USDS. So that's apparently like another one that is a backed stable coin. So it's not the first algorithmic stable coin. And I think if you were to look back, every algorithmic stable coin has failed. Okay. In some sense.
So this I don't believe. Was this maybe the biggest or most evolved try so far? The most large scale try?
This is a pretty big failure. This is not a joke. This is a huge shockwave, and it is infected a lot of the crypto market because these things are no longer isolated.
It creates uncertainty in the entire market.
Kind of, except for it also, that's a component for sure. But it also just infects other chains because these chains can cross swap and they can interact with each other.
Okay. Inflow, is that an inflow thing? That's
these are these
cross-platform inflow.
These are these wormholes and all the rest of these really, they're these complicated smart contract swaps that happen between chains. Essentially how it works is if you have one chain and another chain, you're like, I want to bring the value from one chain onto another. You lock this value or this coin on one side in some fashion so that on this side, you can mint a token that represents that thing over there. It's called wrapping, or it's also called, just representation on another chain or wormholing. It's so that you can essentially teleport value from one chain to the next by saying, well, this is going to stay here in some substantive way and it's an provable way so that you can create something over here and it represents the same value on a separate chain. And it's those kinds of things that actually cause these implosions to be possible, because now you can sort of teleport value around, and people who can do it first and they can do it before these chains get busy. If you're the first money out, then sometimes you can be the only money that gets out.
Sure.
So yeah, it's totally inflows and outflows for sure.
Okay. So you brought up Tether, and I wanted to pull up a chart on that. So Tether has seen something interesting take place today. they saw the largest dip in their last month, maybe since their existence, down to $0.997, which percentage wise compared to all of their other changes is a 10 times movement compared to all of their other daily movements across that value across that platform. So, but it looks like they recovered and are working to currently recover right now. But that's interesting. Is that tied to all of this? Like I see a tweet on here. In my opinion, this is Beck's Crypto. In my opinion, if Luna and UST and not recover, no one will trust all crypto projects, even BTC, because this project was one of the best. So what happened in UST will happen in all others. No one will trust crypto anymore. I can't really, I'm not going to agree with that, but I can see his point being valid.
I'm not going to go down the FUD train that this is how it goes for anyone. I think when we have Nakamoto consensus, right? And I guess this is why we call this podcast the third coin, which we've kind of, identified what we think the three coins are. We look at Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is a mined coin, right? Not saying that there isn't a cliff and like a impending doom for Bitcoin. There's definitely something afoot in Bitcoin, right? Like when it stops emitting new coins, it's uncertain how the chain is going to respond, right? So it's getting to the point where we're going to start being into the very small amounts of coin emissions and coin rewards for new blocks for miners.
And people are not starting to mine Bitcoin. The people are moving out of mining Bitcoin into other chains.
Not necessarily. They're moving towards free energy sources. So what we're seeing in Bitcoin is essentially, if you can't get free energy, it doesn't make sense to mine Bitcoin anymore. So what you want to do is get near flare gas or volcanoes or stuff where essentially energy is sort of just being emitted out of the planet in some fashion, and trying to put your miner next to that so that you don't have an energy input cost anymore. And the people who can do that are the ones that are really sort of winning in the Bitcoin race.
I mean, it almost sounds like it's going to turn into an energy company sort of thing.
Yeah,
like energy companies are going to have that.
It kind of is. That's kind of where we're at now, is that's what's happening.
Like if I was already running hydroelectric, why wouldn't I, as a municipality, why wouldn't I say, well, hey, let's, for another 2 million, let's build?
Maybe. It's more skating towards where there are sources of free energy and that they're capturable that aren't being captured now. Natural gas, flare gas, right? So when you're drilling oil, you hit these pockets of methane and whatever that are not usable. You can't capture it all. What they did in the past was they just vented into the atmosphere. Obviously, that's a horrible thing for global warming. We don't want excess methane being thrown into the atmosphere. So then they started to say, well, I guess we can just burn it, and
they flared it up and let it burn.
So there's just these geysers of flame that exist, and that's energy, right? I mean, you could certainly put your Bitcoin miner right over the top of that gout of flame and power that miner. So that's kind of what's happening now, is they're capturing this flare gas because it's just wasted energy. So you might as well throw it into Bitcoin. That's the kind of stuff that I think Bitcoin is skating towards, these really low energy costs, not where you're having to build stuff. Like if you do an infrastructure project for Bitcoin, maybe that could be profitable, but I don't know. That doesn't seem like it would be a profitable thing if somebody else can get near flare gas, have almost zero energy cost, and then sort of harvest that. That seems like that guy's going to win. It's all about efficiencies in economy, right? If you can find some efficiency, then you'll make more money than somebody who does not have a similar efficiency. But this is just kind of tying back into like what chains really have a future, right? So like coins that can mine and coins that have a Nakamoto consensus, they're strong and they have good consensus mechanisms and they've stood the test of time. Bitcoin certainly continues to function. And it was Bitcoin's liquidity that actually enabled all of this. So Bitcoin has a lot of trading, has a lot of liquidity. People are still passing these things around. They're still trading it back and forth.
There's no problem getting your money if you own Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is a very liquid market and it is a very desirable market, especially when the price goes down. There starts to be a lot of buy pressure because it's viewed as a store of value. So Bitcoin is pretty solid as far as liquidity and everything goes. Now, that's not to say that the Bitcoin order books couldn't fail in a spectacular way. That's possible. There are people who are talking about the fact that these things are being traded on centralized exchanges, and these centralized exchanges could encounter substantive problems. And if that were to be the case, you could see weird behavior where the market starts to behave in ways that were not anticipated. So it's possible that this could happen in Bitcoin. But as far as, is there a situation that kind of like what happened with Terra in Bitcoin? Not really. There aren't really other coins that trade on top of Bitcoin. There aren't really smart contracts. It's just these coins and they get traded back and forth. And it's a pretty simple network. It's the OG network, and it really doesn't have an opportunity for something like this to occur. Ethereum is different. Ethereum has complex DeFi protocols, and it has a lot of inflows and outflows, and it has leverage, and it has all kinds of crazy stuff that's built on top of it. It is potentially an illegal security. That's yet to be determined. So I'm not coming out here and saying that I know,
Sure.
But people are speculating that it is. And if this is the case, and the SEC comes after a bunch of what they deem to be illegal securities, and they classified ETH to be one, it would then become very difficult to trade to on-ramp and off-ramp Ethereum. And
they'd have to shut down a lot of the wallet or the ways it's done now and reconfigure to be conformant to
maybe not the wallets, but the centralized exchanges for sure.
Okay.
And
yeah,
a lot of people are speculating this is why the price of Coinbase is what it is, right? Coinbase was trading at like $400. Check it out today. It's trading sub 60. And
wow.
And this is being talked about as far as this being the case because
sub 50 now. 22% down today.
So what's being talked about is that this is being priced in, that there's
too many unknowns.
No, it's being thought that there's general market sentiment that's swinging because of the Terra situation, and also it's being speculated that the SEC may be ready to step in and resolve the Ripple
because especially
situation.
When something happens like this Terra thing, that's now a red flag to the SEC to say, look, we got to do something to make sure this doesn't happen to everybody else's money.
This has been cooking for a while, the whole Ripple situation, illegal securities, like whether all of these tokens were issued as illegal securities and what their relationship, that is looming. It's been looming, and likely it's being priced into Coinbase's price.
I mean, it makes sense because to me, when I heard about these tokens, the only way I ever thought of that it could be legal to sell one of these tokens is to say, look, you can buy this for $5 from me, but it's not worth anything. And this is not an investment, right?
Yeah, that's the Howey test. So there's like a standardized mechanism that you have to review. And so lawyers going through all of this stuff is commonplace. And I spent a big chunk of 2017 and 2018 sort of living in these waters and learning about this, and ultimately not getting a startup off the ground because it was such an amount of uncertainty around whether any kind of a token thing would be an illegal security. And the investors that I was currently working with on the technology we were building, they just said, this is risky. We don't know. And it's too uncertain. And that uncertainty still hasn't been resolved in a substantive way 5 years later, at least in the form of that there's no enforcement about this, right?
Yeah.
So we have a test, we have a framework by which we should be able to determine if something's an illegal security, but there's been no prosecution of it. So
there's no precedence for people to go, look what happened here. Let's try this because this seems like this will be legal. Or
until Ripple. And that's sort of what's been going on with the whole Ripple situation. So when that resolves, and if we get very close to that resolution and it looks like they deem Ripple to be an illegal security, that would be the Ripple. That would sort of cascade across.
That's awesome that they chose. I wonder if that was purpose. Like, let's go with this one just for the name. Let's get them. If we get them, we know what will happen.
Maybe. I don't know.
That was the Third Coin Podcast, where we talk about the past, present, and future of blockchain, cryptocurrency, and Web3 technology. If you learned something new today, we'd love to hear about it in the comments. If you'd like a different question answered, go ahead and ask us in our social media, which can be found anywhere at The Third Coin. Please like and follow us for some of the latest information on YouTube and podcasts everywhere.